everyone, welcome to Babies with Knives. Today we're going to be doing our actual play of LexOccultum. As always, I'm Alice Peng, aka Lala Twiddle, and for GM for today will be Mitch Wallace from Penny for a Tale Above Me. Hey Mitch!
Hello! How's it going, everyone?
It's going great. I'm super excited to finally get to play LexOccultum. I was practicing my accent for an hour and a half, so we'll see if I actually can do it. Speaking of which, today I will be playing Temperance Banks. She is a super science nerd, as well as someone who studies what goes bump in the night. Once upon a time, I was the daughter of a wealthy mercantile family that decided to marry me off for status and a title. And so suddenly I became a minor nobility to a jerk of a husband who also went out and did things that she wasn't quite certain of, but she got to learn and get exposed to things that go bump in the night and some crazy weird science that was hidden in the basement. And so that's how she got into learning this stuff. And one day he went on a business trip and didn't come home, and she took her money and she left. So she went from Britain and moved to France. In France, she met her new employee, Brandon, up in the upper corner there. Hey, Brandon.
Hi there. I'm going to be playing Thadric Robillard today. I am Alice, are you okay there?
I almost choked, even though I knew the name that was coming.
I am a Frenchman that was a soldier for a time. Did duty for my country, and really I have become pretty disillusioned with a lot of stuff around. After getting out of the military, I have basically just kind of subsisted as best as I can and have a poor opinion of a lot of humanity at this point. But when Temperance started poking around into some things, I took an interest in her because, it's not things that a lady should necessarily be poking around in. So I hang out with her. She keeps me clothed, fed, and gives me a stipend to go blow on drinks and hoes. That's pretty much me.
And
she's totally disgusted already hearing my character.
And below Brandon is Nate Beebe. Hey, Nate.
Hello.
So, Nate, who are you going to be playing?
I'm going to be playing Bastien Dupont. He is a young, aspiring fencer that, in the middle of his training at the academy, his parents went missing under mysterious circumstances. And he took the money that his parents had at the time and turned it into a investigation business, and he is trying to figure out what happened to his lost parents.
Cool. And I heard that you have only one arm.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Mitch, would you like to take us away?
Yeah, definitely. So we are hopping into the kind of turbulent times right before the French Revolution, 18th century, petty, so to speak. Obviously, the city is kind of bubbling up like dark waters. There's whispers of revolution. People are angry at the monarch for taxation, as well as the several kind of overstepping of boundaries. People are upset, and in the midst of this, several unknown and mysterious things are occurring in Paris that only to inflame everyone's disco. So let's start off with kind of figuring out how you guys fit into Paris. And I think we should really look to is your character, Alice, since you kind of you employ you employ Brandon, Brandon's character. What brings you to Paris?
The life of adventure, of course. And, well, my in-laws were not... Getting away from the in-laws was always a good idea, too. This city is far more open with experiences than where I...
It is, and it is quite delightful. There's a couple of cafes that have started to open up. Cafes being the place where they're kind of serving these different type of drinks, but more importantly, it's becoming a place for people to talk about the kind of enlightenment, new ideas, this idea of science and the divergence from the norms that the Catholic Church has pushed for several centuries. So Paris is just kind of ripe with new ideas, thoughts, but of course everything is kind of hidden by night.
I would certainly spend a fair amount of time. Science is something that I have become very...
And Doggo, your character, why is he here?
He was born in Paris, but he would be frequenting public locations trying to find people that may or may not know of his missing parents. And he would be trying to find just generic clues around town that would point him in the direction.
Excellent. And what were your parents like?
They were both butchers in the whatever district the butchers would be in Paris. I don't know.
Yeah, probably the northern area. A lot of times near the water. I think the River Seine. There's a lot of great places to pick up meat and such as people transport them from up north and then deliver them down south. It really depends on kind of how established the butchery was. I think kind of near the River Seine would definitely be a great spot for your kind of butchery to be at.
Right.
Is it both your parents are missing?
Yes.
All right, so we start off with a lovely morning around 7 a.m. just as the sun kind of goes over the beautiful city of Paris. Even at this time, people are milling about. There's a lot of activity here. You guys can see the remnants of scraps of paper on the wall. It is clear that whatever propaganda was being put up the night before has been quickly disposed of as best as what people believe to be the Secours du Roi, or the secret police. You have that smell from the river. It doesn't really smell that great, especially now. The city of Paris hasn't really done much to regulate the use of the water and the cleanliness of the city. The poor kind of are at a loss. Winter is fast approaching, and winter in Paris is tough. Food is scarce, hunting is hard, and disease just spreads like the plague. You guys can see people kind of huddled up on the corners, their arms kind of locked into this stretched position, hoping that desperately some compassionate soul might drop a few coins in their hand for them to get a bread that will probably try to last them for about a week. It's about this time, though, there is a scream just south of the River Seine, over the bridge, and you start to see several people start to run that direction, and even some people start to run away from whatever the cause of the scream is. As it definitely looks like this morning something is afoot here in Paris.
I start running for it.
I will too.
If she's going and she's my meal ticket, I gotta go no matter how foolish this sounds to me.
Robillard, what's your first name?
Frederick Robillard. My lady, we should not be running towards this. It's bad omens. There's bad people in the night. They using the last few hours of dark.
There might be someone in need of aid, and it would be I cannot simply turn my back. They are.
Oh, I assure you, it's very easy to just turn your back.
Not for me.
Going with her.
Excellent. So you go over the bridge of the river, seeing several boats kind of going down the water, people kind of preparing for their day, but their necks are kind of craned up, trying to get a look at what's happening just over on the other side. As you guys approach, there is a crowd circling what looks like a tavern. You see the windows, which just have the touch of frost as winter is slowly creeping in on Paris, just kind of at the corners of the windows. There are several uniformed, what you believe to be policemen. They kind of brandishing swords and pushing people back as you hear a high-pitched scream from this woman on her knees before them.
Can I use my well-traveled to know anything about this place?
Of course, go ahead and roll.
I'll
See,
approach one of the
6. I made it by 3.
So what like specific questions are you trying to out for?
How reputable? How likely am I to hang out here versus how likely do I think that Temperance should be hanging out?
Luckily, this place is kind of the mid-range. It's definitely, because of its proximity to the river, most kind of middle-class and maybe even lower-class nobles come to this tavern to enjoy Paris. It's definitely a tavern which has that romantic feel on the exterior of it. The people who own it are not doing so well in general. They're usually pretty poor. The wealthy people who come don't pay often, and usually the money associated with it is docked from the monarch, who is in a large amount of debts and hasn't really paid any of the debts in quite some time. So it's definitely a struggling business.
I'm gonna approach one of the officers.
This man with kind of this tricorner hat stares down at you with cold blue eyes. His gloves are covering his hands as he breathes into it and then places another one on the hilt of his sword. Lady?
Is the matter?
Lady, I don't want to provide you with any details. This is an unfortunate event, and I fear a lady of countenance such as yourself would only shatter your view upon the world. I suggest you move on and don't worry about it.
I assure you, my illusion has been plenty shattered.
Why don't you make a check for me? Try to convince him that you have
Absolutely.
seen that 30-yard stare.
Yep. So about that, I have communication, I have etiquette, I have social interaction with middle class. I add all three of those together.
Cops at
person
this
is
era are
definitely-
likely not middle class.
Okay.
Yeah, he is not middle class.
Okay. Ooh, I made it by a lot. I made it by 5.
Excellent. All right. So there's something about you that definitely you've seen some.
I give him a cold stare
and,
back.
And he looks over to your employee.
I straighten up, beat my hat off of some of its dust and such before we come up to him.
Right. Follow me. It's your will to see it.
I'm still alive.
I don't know. You just really have to see it. Come, follow me.
What's
do you
Bastian
have a
doing so
handkerchief?
far?
Oh, I was gonna ask, is there any windows that aren't being like watched by any of the guards?
Yes, there is. So, this tavern to the left of it is kind of connected to almost like these row homes of buildings. But on the right side, stinking of the most unfortunate of things, you see an alleyway with kind of a little bit of snow hidden in the shadows. But you do see several windows on that side that could lead you into the tavern.
Okay. Can I do a roll with stealth, avoidance, and sneaking to try and sneak
you
through the
can.
window? All right.
Mhm.
Let's do a roll. Now it's 1 to the number I paid, right? To succeed.
You roll a d20. You basically just want to get underneath your total,
Oh,
which
okay.
is a combination of your etiquette and not etiquette, your discipline and your.
All right, I got it then.
Excellent. So yeah, other than kind of the frozen latch, it's pretty easy as you are able to push it up a little bit and kind of roll over into the tavern. What you see before you, this first floor area, everything has been cleared. There is no one in sight. And despite the dawn kind of coming up over the horizon and trickling some bit of light into this area, it is quite dark. First thing that hits you is a stench. It's hard to imagine, but it's almost the smell of milk ripened in the sun and bubbling up over it. It has a taste to it, even as you try to keep your mouth closed.
Smells like mom.
Everything is just vile. And as you kind of creep in, you notice the door open, shedding some light into this dark area. And you notice among these tables within this tavern, there's someone sitting at it. There is a sheet covering it. What do you do?
There's only the sheet and like what's under it in this room currently.
Correct. Yeah, it looks like the whole first floor. I mean, there's the bar, there's drinks, there's even some drinks and food left out on the table, suggesting that people kind of left in a hurry. There is no one here, no one moving, except for the door that's opening, a police officer coming in.
I'm gonna walk over to it and kind of like bring up a piece of fabric over my mouth as I lift up the sheet to see what's under it.
Excellent. Sheet is quite long. It is thick. It looks like something that you would put over a boat to keep provisions inside of it safe from the elements. So you kind of have to start picking it up little by little as you kind of hold it in your arms. First thing you see as you pull it up is a pair of shoes underneath attached to legs. They're small, suggesting that is a child, be around the age of 10. You continue to put it up.
I'm gonna let it down and wait for the people to start walking in.
Do you attempt to hide from those coming forward?
Actually, would I be able to try and use communication persuasion to lie to them and say that I am a official?
You can.
All right.
Let's see how you say it. So I assume you stand up, and the police officer coming in kind of takes off his hat out of respect and looks at you. What are you doing here? There should be no one inside this tavern.
Oh, they did not tell you that I was coming here? I am the coroner. I was coming to investigate the scene to figure out what happened so we could further inform the guard here to know exactly what happened. Let me roll. I have a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, he's taking a few steps forward.
Oh, I got a 10.
Is that successful?
That is on the cusp of successful. Yes.
On the dot.
Yeah.
Excellent. So as he moves up to you, he kind of looks you over, and you see the grip on his blade loosen as he puts a handkerchief up to his nose.
Mitch,
And he turns.
I want to do my sense motive, which I believe is going to be stealth, detection, and then I think it's observation is...
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so got a 14, so I made it by 5.
Excellent.
I want to actually attempt that as well. I'm not as good as. Oh, I made mine on the dot.
I guess you're doing this against Bastion.
Yes, Bastion Dupont.
All right. There is definitely something about this individual that you guys know isn't exactly up to the standards. A slight shifting of the eyes while telling the supposed truth that suggests that the lie is just below the surface. Yes, this officer places a hand upon the tarp, this brown drape over the figure sitting at the. You ready?
As I said, I am a doctor and I may assist a good corner.
You believe in God?
What'd you ask? Sorry.
I'm gonna.
You believe in God? Sorry.
Sorry, you can go.
So the man with his shifting eyes looks over the noble woman and asks, "Do you believe in God?"
I nod.
I
believe that we all need something. God is no better or worse option. I also believe science, and I believe that there are many things to be explained and explored.
Oh, my lady, there are lots of things worse than God, by all means. Come down to a couple neighborhoods over at night, and I'll show you them, but I'd rather you just stay home.
Perhaps if we all learn more, we are able to uplift those.
maybe, or maybe the inquiries in places that we have no purpose in inquiring, it leads to our very destruction. Nonetheless, he pulls the sheet down. Before you is a rotten corpse of dressed up, and eyes are open, pitch black. You see several maggots dripping from a wound upon his head, slowly moving down his face. The texture of his face and his hands, a pale blue, almost gray-like, and shriveled up as if it's been in water sometime.
This man, where was he found?
This child was found here.
But did not die. So how is it?
Good question.
I'd like to roll some
We summoned the
sciences.
priest. Go ahead.
I have science. I have healthcare. I have biology. I have well, I have every single science. So tell me what you believe applies.
Definitely healthcare will probably
Okay.
be best.
What about biology?
If you're doing healthcare, you should only be looking below healthcare, basically,
Oh, that's true.
Alice.
Okay,
So
sure.
at that point, it should
Yeah.
be, healing might
Healing.
be. For me, I'm just looking with my observation as well as my detect hidden. I'm just looking at the body and the scene in general for things. And I'm trying to remember as we approached, I've already heard about this frosted latch and how it's a cold morning, the sun's not out yet. Was there small puddles of ice that would have been unusual, as if they pulled a body from the river and dragged it?
I would
Excellent.
also
All right.
I'd like to assist him in that check.
So you can't really assist in like observation because I don't think he's kind of bringing you into this. But you guys can both make observation checks to kind of see what you're trying to gain from this. This
I rolled
scene.
a 1, so that's made it by 18.
Well,
Nice.
Wow. Okay. Well, I made mine by 4.
I don't remember if we need to do made it by, but
I always
sometimes
like it.
yeah.
All right. So Butler, Cedric, right? Cedric.
Frederick.
As you're looking around, you do notice a slight bit of wetness, almost like footsteps, snow that had melted, coming from the front door. And indeed, it looks like it's coming from up the stairs, and it's very hard to see. You can there's these little specks of wetness on the that has been soaked up by the wood. So definitely, without your great eye, no one else would have caught this. Other than that, it's hard to imagine how exactly this body got here, and it's hard to think of why these steps which lead to this person, why these two are associated. Because looking at it, this boy has been dead for quite some time.
Yeah.
And the noble woman can, of course, confirm this. As you look over, I assume, are you putting on gloves?
Yes,
and such?
I pull out a little medicine bag. I open, my little medicine bag. I open it. I put on gloves, and I pull some tools out that the officer might look a little weird at. Things that look a little strange in this time and age, but I start pulling out.
Looking over the body, this person was drowned. You see the fingernails are splintered and cracked, suggesting that there was a fight during. There's a little bit of dirt underneath the fingernails as well. Furthermore, the skin, as we kind of said before, is scrunched up. It has that appearance of being in water for an extended period of time. This has been dead for looks like maybe a couple of weeks. The decay is severe. The eyeballs you can see are kind of at the cusp of looking into the skull, very moist and dripping with this pus. Maggots are well on their way throughout the body, and any penetration of the skin kind of reveals these maggots right underneath it.
Based on the life cycle of the maggots, how many days body?
Let's say it has been 26 days.
The boy's been dead for roughly 20 years.
Well, appearances, it looks that is the child of the tavern up there.
My condolences.
Well, I don't know why it's here. Yes, she's outside, the one screaming in agony. Thought it best that she not see this again.
When
she buried him weeks ago at an accident.
This boy did not die, and I point out the finger. Here, these are the markings of a boy struggling fight. And here, this boy was attacked. This was no accident.
Unfortunately, this is as far as our investigation goes. I'm going to remove the body.
Coroner, concur with my assessment.
Your assessment of the injuries does check out. This was definitely not an accident.
And would you concur with the estimated time of death?
With my research before you came in, I do concur that it was about a month.
Then,
do I need to lie for that?
No, I think
he already got his lie through.
He already got his lie through.
Yeah.
I already know he's lying. I'm just playing to his lies right now, obviously.
Well, I heard that you made it by the exact same amount he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's kind of a shifty thing.
Yeah, a little shifty. But I'm playing to his lies. Well, officer and coroner, my appreciations for allowing take a and to be of give you a second. It is hard to know in the city when how and when things.
So, Mitch, you said that these footsteps that I've noticed are going up to the stairs. Is that the same way that we came in?
Oh, you came in through the front door. The stairs leading up most likely is the various rooms of the tavern.
Okay. Well, they're paying attention there. I want to go ahead and follow those a little bit and just see where that might lead. I wait for their, a specific time where their attention isn't on me, where I've kind of not engaged with the body that much, and then slip away.
So we'll say that's kind of around the time when they're doing their full-on examination, which of course would have lasted a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of slip out going up the stairs. This place, like many of the taverns in this district, is very thin. As you go up the stairs, you look down the hallway and you see various rooms, each one kind of numbered, and having that appearance of wealth without the actuality of wealth. A lot of flowers and things that are cheap to get, but are just for show. Yes,
sure. I grab a nice looking flower and tuck it into my coat.
Aw. The steps lead down the hall, and when I say steps, really it's just kind of the softening of wood every now and then, suggesting that it has soaked up a decent amount of water. So it really takes some feeling out as you move down the hall. There's only 2 lanterns lit in this area, so it's still pretty dark, with one window that faces the alleyway. The supposed footsteps leads down the hall and then goes up another staircase, which kind of spirals out and then stops at a door.
How far away am I from them at this point, do I think?
You're on the 3rd story, while they're on the 1st floor.
Yeah, grab one of the lanterns as I'm passing. Help me with light. And then I'm going to, easing my dirk into my hand, but hidden into my coat sleeve a bit, I'm going to go ahead and slowly try and open the door.
Excellent. Why don't, because it is locked, why don't you go ahead and give me a check?
Okay, so I've got my stealth. Where is my... There we go.
And there's sleight of hand, lockpick.
12, 16. I rolled a 2. Look, my terrible dice rolling is finally paying off in this game.
That's European gaming. So yeah, it is this. You feel the mechanisms right in the keyhole of the door to easily slide the lock over, and the door shifts open. This place is a little bit more well lit. As you move in, you notice that there is a very large window that kind of faces the River Seine. There is a single bed, it's a very small bed, a dresser, everything is sort of plain. There's several rope tied from one end to another with clothing kind of strung about it. So it's kind of hard to see the other side of the full length of the bedroom without kind of shifting down and looking around. As you do, kind of getting a better look at this place.
I'm leaving the lantern since it's better lit. I'm just kind of putting that down in the hall as I creep in.
First thing that catches your kind of well-trained eye is there are scratch marks underneath the bed.
I take note of those, but I want to make certain there's nobody that's being hidden by those clothes or like behind the door. So first, mission safe.
Nah, no, you're fine. Go ahead and roll.
So he went upstairs and he's never coming back, just like the guy who went down the sewers, right?
Maybe.
3rd floor is like the inverse of the sewers.
Oh.
I make it by 13.
Excellent. There is a stillness to this place, a silence that almost overwhelms you. Every now and then you can hear the clip-cloppity clop of a horse outside pulling a carriage. But in here, it's just kind of this echoey silence. You can hear yourself breathing. Feel you are alone. You can't help but feel slight goosebumps on the back of your neck, raising of the hairs on your chest or arms.
I go ahead and with that, start moving forward, and I want to go check out those scratch marks, and as well as look for anything important in the room. Important can mean valuable.
Looking around, being the observational person of good repute, you can definitely identify that in the corner that there's a slab of wood that is slightly loose, and definitely worn in a different way than the others. This is generally where people such as tavern owners and stuff would hide their wealth or saving. Other than that, this place is pretty drab. But as you approach the bed, definitely see these etchings into the floor, and it's a weird kind of light. It feels as if the light coming in prevents you from seeing underneath the bed, just kind of the way your eye is capturing the light and trying to adjust to the darkness under the bed. It is truly dark under there, fully so. Coming out of that darkness, you see several scratch marks in the wood, deep and then crusted with dried blood.
I take a look at that blood, and how old does that seem to be? You've got these scratch marks. Is the blood into the scratch mark, basically? And do these scratches look like it's just from this board being shifted back and forth repeatedly, and wear, basically, that's developed there? Or is it something recent, and so the scratch marks are fresh?
Scratch marks are indeed fresh. You can kind of touch one of them and look at your hand to see a bit of this blood on your finger.
Okay. I go ahead and wipe that off on my pants. And then I'm going to go ahead and check the board, look and see if they have any sort of mechanisms to either tell if it has been shifted or not, or anything that might go off on somebody who's coming in here and should not. God forbid someone like that would come around.
You know, right? That would be horrific. So why don't you go ahead and make an observation roll?
8, so made it by 12.
Excellent. Looking over at it, there's nothing there. It's very rudimentary, very basic. It looks like they are relying upon the board being hidden to secure their objects, and
it would be
more.
a lot better without those scratches, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and shift that board then and see what's down there.
You shift it a little bit. And before you sits a little chest. Part of it is open. You see a cloth of coming out of the chest, old and brown. It looks like a long sleeve.
Okay, go pick the chest up and similarly just kind of examine it before I start opening it. But if there's something coming out, it sounds like it's not locked and closed.
Correct. Yeah. As you pick it up, you can definitely feel the shifting of the top, suggesting that there's no lock on it. It has this old quality of old wealth, definitely something that was carved and carved very beautifully. You see on the exterior of this box, you're almost lost in the serene nature of the images. A coastline, waves crashing against the shore in a lighthouse. It looks like, as you turn it around, various tall buildings set against a quaint little village.
Well, this is worth a pretty penny, Biles.
Yeah.
So go ahead and crack the lid open and just take a look at what's inside.
Cracking it open, first thing you see is a child's shirt. Pulling it out, it is old, definitely lower class, with holes mothy in. It has the smell of mold and water, almost dirt. But just beneath it, you see a portrait done by kind of this black and white style, definitely by charcoal. It looks like the woman you saw outside screaming on a chair. A boy is before her. He is smiling, and so is the boy. It seems like a happy little scene.
Sure. What's the date on it by the artist's signature?
The date on it suggested it was done 2 years ago.
Okay. And so how small is that boy?
He's a little bit smaller than the boy you saw downstairs. They definitely have familiar looks about them, suggesting that they are indeed the same child, but definitely younger.
Okay. Was the box big enough that other things could have been in here before?
No, it's definitely kind of like about this size. The shirt was kind of stuffed in there with the portrait, and just kind of set in the corner of it too is a bag, leather, with several coins inside.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open the bag up, take one coin out, close the bag up, pocket the coin, put the things back, close it up, and put it in there. Honest day's work deserves an honest day's pay. So I put it back, put the board back, and then I go to the window and just look out. So the steps were leading up here. Do I think that somebody might have gotten out this way? Gotten out through the window?
Make an observation check.
Made it by 11.
Nice. As you kind of look out the window, because it's slanted, so the window still has several of the roof that you can see. You notice that several of the tiles are missing, and it looks as if someone had climbed it, knocking some of them off. It doesn't have the same missing tiles as would with the normal wear and tear of roofs. Someone has definitely been on.
I'd try and figure out where that path would be leading, so that way I can go out there later on.
Definitely. It looks like it kind of moves on. Looking out to the river Sin, it looks like it's going towards your right. So further along down these rows of homes.
Okay. And do I see where they would have gotten off the roof, or does it continue down the roof?
Continues down.
Okay. Well, worst case, we can climb up. I will go ahead and, come back, close the door, lock the door, grab the lantern, head back, hang the lantern back up, and basically try and leave everything except for my one coin and my new flower untouched up there.
Excellent. As you kind of go to get your lantern, you notice that the fire is no longer lit.
Okay.
There is a bit of smoke wafting from it as if it's been burned out recently, though there is no wind, nor is the oil lacking.
Well, that's rather cheap of them. I mean, honest guests could get hurt trying to walk around here in the dark. And so, hand on the wall, I will try and slowly feel my way down. Actually, do I have a light? Do I have the ability
like
to...
a match or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have something small you can kind of light real quick.
Yeah, and see if I can get the lantern started again, as I mutter about the poor review that I'd leave on Yelp. And so then I'm gonna head back to the group. So if they've got other stuff, go for them.
Excellent. You're able to light it up and go back down. Everything is calm. If everything's okay. Nonetheless, we go over to our noble woman and the ill-begotten coroner.
I'm going to go and talk with her, but you can go ahead and deal with it.
All right, Nate, what you up to?
I would just look around the dining area, I assume is where we're at right now.
It's kind of the open tavern where there's different circular tables, wooden chairs, and a small bar right next to the stairs leading up.
I'm just gonna look around this area to see if there's anything that we missed on the Curse Streak lands. And
hey, why don't you go ahead and give me another observation roll then?
Yep. Well, I rolled a 20. That is not what I needed.
Unfortunately, as you're looking around, you notice just right next to the bar that there is a small little door, almost hidden by a barrel of ale.
Wow, just think what you would have gotten if you had rolled well.
I'm gonna roll the barrel.
Always leads to good things.
I'm gonna move the barrel out of the way and check and see what's in the door. All
right, so you move the barrel away. The gentleman who's with the noble woman is kind of looking out the window, distracted. When you move it away, something makes you bring your eyes towards this door. And between the wooden planks of this door, you notice that there's an eye staring back.
Oh, well then.
Cask Montiago.
I'm gonna call out to the guard and ask if anyone else is in here besides the three of us. Or the four of us.
No. Shouldn't be. Why?
Well, there's something inside this door. I'm going to open the door as I say that.
Open the door, and the other side is dark. There's spider webs within it. You see a few more of these barrels. It looks like kind of this is a place where they secure several of their higher prized alcohol. Whoever possessed the eye, whatever it was, is no longer on the...
I'm going to motion for the guard, ask him to provide some assistance for me as we go down there, because I'll tell him that I saw an eye. I'm not going crazy. If you want me to roll persuasion to try and convince him that I'm not crazy.
Yeah, more so convincing him to step into that chamber with you.
Right.
Go ahead.
I got a roll of 50-50. Got a 5.
Right. He'll bring a light over to help you kind of look through the place. But before we do, why don't you give me a d6 roll?
Alrighty. Got a 4.
So in this case, you were going to take 1 mental strain from what you saw. That on.
Remind me, what does mental strain do again?
So it's kind of like your health points for your mind. You'll see it right under on your. I don't know if you have the character sheet.
If you're
but
using
there's
the
help
character
and
sheet,
fear.
the front page, bottom left as you're looking at it.
Yeah.
But you start with 32 if your int and your, what's the other one? Psych are flat. If there's zeros, you start with 32. And you have to burn through, I think, 12 before you start taking negatives.
Yeah.
Alright, so what do I get strained by?
I mean, you saw an eye.
Oh, okay.
And whoever possessed that eye is no longer on the other side of the door. It's definitely something troubling. Something that scratches at the back of your mind as to who it possibly could be. If there is a god, why are there eyes on other sides of doors?
You know, it would really freak you out if you checked if the eye is still there from through the door that you saw it, and it was. That would be freaky.
Elish, throw something at Brandon. He's taking all my stuff.
I'll throw something at him later. He's in another room right now. He's behind this wall behind me.
I hide from her.
Out of throwing range.
Yes.
So,
but
it's
yeah.
like I was just asking, like, this is like a wine cellar, you said?
Yeah, it's one you kind of have to duck under and shuffle into. But it looks like it's just a very thin room behind the bar itself, containing various bottles and barrels and such that have been carefully brought in here. Cobwebs are everywhere, and you can definitely see larger spiders about and crawling over the barrels.
Oh, actually, I didn't realize this. Could I roll an esotericism supernatural beings check for this?
You can.
I didn't realize I had this. I had to roll.
You wanted to be investigating the weird when you told me about your character, so...
Yeah. Oh, I'm not complaining. I didn't notice. Rolling. I beat it by 4.
Perspective is something that humanity takes for granted. You see something from a vantage point and they assume that it will always be there despite when you move. But you know from your readings that not everything works that way. Sometimes there are certain things you can only see a certain vantage point, almost like catching light or looking at a rainbow. In this case, instead of the wonderful colors in the bright sunshine and the promise of God telling humanity that they will no longer try to wipe out the earth. Such thing just on the edge of your peripheral watching.
Well then.
Do you want to go in?
Yeah. As long as the guard is gonna come right in after me.
All right, so Bastion, as you enter this strange little compartment, right behind you, because it's really hard for two people to go in at once. You have to crouch down, slip underneath. Light is outside, shedding a little bit within this place. What are you looking for? What are you trying to figure out here?
I just want to see if there's signs of people that have been here recently, like that wasn't. Like I'm trying to find tracks that aren't like humanoid.
All right. Looking around, I mean, this place is normal. Sure, everything is where it should be. Looking down on the ground, there's no tracks, no scratches, no movement. Thing underneath the floorboard staring at you, uncaring visage. But looks fine. You can.
No. If there's no signs of anything, I'll apologize to the officer for the false alarm and say that and it was just a trick of the light.
I'll probably maybe see a priest or something.
Yeah, I guess I'm just distraught over the death of a child.
I suggest staying in Earth then. Seems like children are dying every day.
Wait, how many children have died recently?
Over this week, I've been called in for 6 different children going missing or dying. Things are tough.
Have any of the deaths showed similarities to this one?
This is the first time as what I can only assume dug up the grave and moved the body.
Huh. I'd have to go back to the station and see records to see if there's any similarities.
Records. There's few of us and too many going on for records to be had. There are evidence of what is going on with the city, no doubt the royalty, all that.
I wasn't able to catch that last bit.
Not for the likes of us.
Oh, well, I'll have to go check in with some of the royal families to see if they could shine some light on this.
Do you?
I'm gonna turn to the doctor and ask, would you like to come with me in this investigation to figure out what happened?
I would be honored to assist the official. But
Officer kind of speaks up. To be clear, there is no official investigation. As far as we're concerned, this is a case closed. I have some men bring this child back to the grave. Be put a cross on it this time.
any other graves disturbed?
There's nothing more
Any other graves disturbed?
that we know of.
Not. I would like to speak with the mother before we seek out other avenues.
Sure. He's outside being
Her name?
counseled.
Her name?
Maddie.
Maddie? Or not? Would you care to join me?
Yeah, questioning the mother might prove beneficial, but also could lead to
Nothing
more
so
emotional
brash.
distress.
Nothing so brash. More consoling and seeing what on a more subtle.
And Brandon, your character has come down by now.
Cool. I just kind of wait for a while for them to be used to like seeing me before I'm like, hey guys, what's up? Because then they'd be like, wait, where were you?
Aware.
So, but yeah, just trying to clue in on what all's been going on while I was checking things out.
And Connor, I'm sorry I did not catch your name.
My name is Bastien Dupont.
It is a pleasure to meet. I bow.
I just look awkwardly because I don't.
I
Yeah, you don't see much bowing.
I am Lady Temperance Bank.
He doesn't know what to do with his one arm left.
Yeah, it's
Care for some tea?
No, thank you.
I look around at the place that we're in as she offers tea. Like, what?
My intention is to take my intention is to invite Maddie to my place where I can more comfortably speak. So, yeah, I'm gonna go outside, and if they follow me, great. If not, you know. But I'm going to go, and I'm going to invite Maddie to my home for tea. That I wish to speak with her of her loss and of her son.
And she is in tears, a slight bit of red in her hair, blue eyes, easily led away towards your establishment.
I'm going to, well, when we walk out, I'm going to hold Bastion back for just a moment. I don't know what your game is, and if it does not harm the lady, I do not care. But I know that you are not a coroner. Are we good?
Oh, yes. I'm here strictly for the well-being of the town.
That is fine. I have no need to get you mixed up in any of that. But as long as you do not endanger her, then we are good.
And then we have an agreement.
I offer my hand. I am Thadric.
I am Bastien. I offer my only hand.
Okay. Then I go ahead and, keep moving, catch up with her.
Right, so what does your establishment look like?
I'm taking her to my house where I'm inviting her to. So it would be a nice, lower nobility home, and I probably have a couple employees tending to the house and such. I am going to make sure that I do the tea up myself. I would like to point out at this point that I am a seer. I am a tea leaf reader. My intention is to get her comfortable at the tea, and I am going to read her tea leaf. I'm also going to probe for information from her, ask her about when her son was born. I'm going to ask what happened to the son. And the whole length of this would take a long time, so I'm not going to take a bunch of time from you, but so that we can keep moving. But basically, I'm going to gather as much information from her with the fact that I'm looking for when her son was born, when her son died, what happened to her son, and I'm going to basically calculate some numerology as well. But given the mysterious circumstances, I wish to tea leaf read and utilize numerology to see if I can divine any portents.
All right, go ahead and make that roll.
Okay, so start with T.
Roll gray, or
made
what
it
are
by
we talking about?
Made it by 3. Yeah, made it by 3.
So during this conversation, you know that her son helped her in her running of the establishment. Her husband died in service to the king, which part of the reward for the service of her husband went into acquiring said tavern. I've been working on it in it for about 6 years with a modest income. Sadly, about 2 months ago, her son, while crossing the street, was hit by a carriage owned by royalty. So
did she seem to be telling the truth with that? Since my evidence showed that he drowned.
Yes, he was buried too long after. And this morning, when she woke up to prepare everything, found one sitting at the table, waiting for her, caused her to panic.
So, of my readings, what do any portents and information I divine?
So, kind of looking at bottom of your cup as you're sipping your tea and watching the leaves formulate and move across the black liquid. See, looks like a perfect shapes and lines that form an image, and it's almost a figure of sorts hanging by a line.
Hanging by a line?
Seen before. A line, yeah. So it's kind of a almost
like a hangman?
Yes, exactly.
Someone being lynched?
You see this dark image reflected in your tea leaf right behind you.
Right behind, what do you mean right behind? Oh, like, okay, so I look back immediately. I look back behind me.
There's no one there. You probably see Cedric somewhere in the back.
Did I get any description, any distinguishing features on that dark figure?
Yes. There is a hexagonal black pendant resting kind of on her, just below her neckline.
Okay. I have esotericism, and in it, we can go to, I'm assuming this would fall under supernatural. I have everything in supernatural being, including black magic, bestiality.
The only thing under supernatural beings is bestiology, Alice.
Okay, yeah, sure. Sorry, I guess it's the LH path. That's the
left-handed path is the next discipline, and then right-handed path is discipline after that.
So yeah, I have supernatural beings, but I also have all the disciplines. So what would be the most applicable here? To me, it sounds like the left-handed path might be most applicable with black magic.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. Go ahead.
Great. Black magic. Would Sinistra also matter here then?
You can't count on 2 specializations.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just one.
8, 9 on the dot.
Excellent. Looking at who and what this is, you're kind of leaning towards witchcraft, especially with the kind of symbols within the tea leaves suggesting lynching. Witches have always been hunted down and burned at the stake for alleged relations with Satan, as it were.
I'll, close up once it's appropriate, and I will, see her out, tell her that I will also, I'll worry about. So, yeah, once she leaves, I will return to Thadric. And Bastian, were you joining us in the end?
Yeah. If you were offering, I would come.
That was a product of black magic. I don't, have either of you gathered any more?
Nothing pertaining to this topic.
The jewel that was, that I think brought the body there went upstairs to the inn left by the roof. I would have gone after them, but wished to come here. And so I could not follow them. You wanted us to return to your home.
I was not aware you had left.
That is the idea.
Perhaps we should turn there and see what. As for what I was able to see from our figure of someone being lynched. As I was reflecting upon the lynch image behind me, someone wearing pendant. Pendant is something I reckon from a symbol.
I ward myself quickly.
Child. The child is said to have been dead 2 months by the mother, but I believe that things are far more complex. Yes, if you believe there is more information at the inn, let us go now that the offer is no longer.
Well, I believe that anybody that was there, they are long gone. May be able to follow the path they took on is obvious and amateur, but they have had excessive time. They got to that by now. I doubt that followed them or that I would have found much at all beyond what I have.
Perhaps you could find the pathscape. Perhaps that if you give me.
They use the roofs. By all means, I could not see the full distance that they went. I am interested in perhaps the graveyard where this little thing was dug up, and he might find there.
Then let us go. Would you care to join us, Dirk Horn?
Yes, that's probably going to be the best lead we have.
I'm going to go and grab my lock pistols, and I'm going to grab my 2 pistols, because, reloading them's a pain, so basically I get 2 shots, then I have to reload, is my opinion. So, grab them, put one in my, grab them and pack up, grab my bag, and follow them out.
All right, excellent. So around this time, it's kind of late afternoon. As you approach back to the tavern, it's clear. Everything looks to just kind of have moved on. Looking through the window, the child is no longer there. It looks like they kind of cleaned up the place a little bit. Where are you guys heading off to?
Before we head off, is there some sort of, actually, never mind. I'll deal with it. I want to basically make an anonymous donation tavern, help with this, money, but I'm trying to figure out a good way to deal with it.
Yeah, just leave money underneath the pillow. Sure, it's fine.
I want to make sure that the tavern keeper gets Maddie gets. So, is there an external way up to the rooftops, or do we need to go inside?
We're going there? Okay. I thought we were going to the graveyard.
Oh yeah, we're going to the graveyard. That's right. We're going to the graveyard.
Going to the graveyard? Okay. Yeah, so the graveyard for Paris is right outside, especially for the lower class. Fedric would be able to lead you to a place just north of Paris, outside in the woods. There is a forest filled with such graves, unnamed, and there's really no crosses or stones depicting it, just lumps of dirt in this forest. There is a slight fence around it, not really to keep anyone out. It's wooden, just on top of each other, so you can easily just go over it. But yeah, it's kind of, it's dark. The trees are tall. Several of the leaves are looking pale and floating down back to the earth.
I'm quite willing to head on in. Alice, did you get location on where the kid was buried?
That was part of the intention, yes, when talking.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, sounds
Definitely.
like I did.
Well, my lady, where is this little tyke supposed to have been interred?
Third row in the north.
You ain't been to a graveyard like this before, have you? Third row.
No.
They ain't clean and lined up that well, but we'll see if figure it out.
Yeah, kind of from the description, you know that she planted a bit of flowers around it.
There will be begonias.
Something that would withstand winter. So as you move through the mounds of dirt, you notice that it just seems endless, these graves. Who knows how many people have died.
I'm looking for other ones
Yeah, I'm looking around for, like, signs of the people who have come through here, or for grave robbing and such like that.
Yeah, looking around, it is pretty evident that there's been some grave robbing. This place really isn't looked after. No one really cares about the poor.
That's right.
As kind of a bonus, though, the poor don't really have anything to bury with them. So much of the grave digging is without any benefit. But you do see several graves that have been disturbed. And as you approach the one that you're heading toward, you can definitely see that there's this hole in the center of it, right next to the flowers, which look like they've decayed recently. A slight tilting, wilting that is on the edges of the flowers.
So investigating this before we proceed, basically, for if they were buried here 2 months ago, and I bet Alice asked when the last time she had visited was. So if we've got that kind of framework in mind, when's the last time somebody actually came?
About 4 days ago.
Okay. And is the grave dug up at the moment?
It is. It's weird in the way that it's dug up because it doesn't look like a shovel. There's just a hole about this size coming in the ground where the grave is.
As if something dug out and only made a hole large enough for it.
Yes, exactly.
I will at that point out child's finger. They were cracked and broke, embedded with dirt. Perhaps the child dug. I'm going to take a soil sample and I'm going to take my tools out. I'm going to run an alchemy check on the soil and flower.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I made it by 3.
So looking at the soil and stuff, there's a high concentration of blood within the soil itself.
There's a high concentration that was here. It was alive enough. For the flower wilting, is there anything unusual about it? Going with the idea that if this is witchcraft, that depending on the type of witchcraft and whatnot, something contagion, there's going to be realms that don't belong in order to be utilized to create contagion. So whether it is, mercury or metal chemical or some sort of herb that doesn't.
Yeah, looking around, you definitely see remnants of some sort of root. You know that just kind of a cursory glance at this, and from your previous knowledge, that this is a root often associated with other realms. It's kind of a special root that's always been said to kind of be that connection between. Furthermore, when this root blossoms up, it blossoms into these very dark black flowers. They're very, very rare. So much that they're usually not written down in any sort of modern or scientific journal.
When I was talking to the mother, it seemed desperate. How back?
As any mother would be.
Did you love your son?
Well, but
Did you love your son enough to invoke blood rituals to get him back?
We need that question answered.
Well, love your son enough, or love your son like H.G. Wells from Warehouse 13. There's a bit of a difference on that level. You watched Warehouse 13?
I've heard stories like it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell with
Yeah.
the woman. I mean, she
I
just
get
saw her kid, so everything is just kind of on the front.
A ritual was performed.
What
Crossing of
kind
dimensions.
of ritual?
Crossing of life and death, or of the parallel universe. We have yet.
I once again do a quick little, word on myself.
Something was brought into this world that does not belong, and if it is not sent back to its land in time, then there will be a lot. Whatever does not belong needs to be banished back.
Well, my lady, know what kind of thing was?
Not enough. I think we need to investigate missing and the dying. And the other overheard the offer.
Just with things that come back in this kind of fashion. And by the way, the tracks. First of all, the tracks that I find 4 days ago. Are there tracks that lead up to this grave, or simply the tracks leading away from it?
So it doesn't, from just kind of the amount of traffic that comes in and out of this graveyard, it's hard to tell exact footsteps from this grave. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, on things that come back, dig themselves out of their grave, have blood that is because that she mentioned all the blood that was left in the soil. Those kind of things. I'm trying to put something together for that, let alone the fact that this body was waterlogged, sounded like first came across it. Would I be able to roll my esotericism, supernatural beings, bestiology with that?
Yes, definitely.
Fail by 2.
My
Dice, they weren't hacked enough.
Can I make that check too?
Go ahead.
All right. I got to roll 12 or under. Got a 10, so I beat it by 2.
Excellent. So there's kind of different viewpoints on what exactly is happening. For Thedric, kind of maybe it just kind of got lost in that River Sen for a while as it was making its way over. Furthermore, there are various kinds of vampires associated with water. Water kind of being the old elemental comparison to blood in some texts. While Bastion, as you're looking over and thinking upon this, you have heard tale of what people sometimes whisper as the 99 black pieces. What the 99 black pieces are is a gateway to what people have associated with hell, but what exactly hell is in reality is kind of lost on the more esoteric scholars of the modern era. But nonetheless, the blood, the water, everything points to a ritual associated with that parallel world that's kind of just below the surface of ours.
I have a quick question. At this point in France, do people believe that the catacombs have a gateway to hell, or is that not a thing yet?
Ooh, the French catacombs, I believe, came after the French Revolution, though there is some catacombs right now. and I think there's definitely some whispers concerning the hell-like portals of the catacombs with the amount of the dead that's kind of stacking up. So yeah,
Preparation work began not long after 1774, just in the early part of Wikipedia article.
Yeah, so definitely around this era, so you would definitely hear rumors about the tales of the deep. So
Okay. So I will relay that the catacombs might be one of the causes of this. People think that the catacombs are an evil place, and that there is a connection to the world below. That might be something might have happened within the catacombs that caused this to happen.
I kind of listen and nod with that. Well, if that's where we must go, then the Skull's Road walk. Well, what do you think, my light?
I just hope we don't get lost down there.
Cool.
excellent. So going down into the catacombs, it's always guarded at least by some officers of Paris. Generally, people aren't allowed in the area just to stave off superstition in other forms of witchcraft. So how are you guys going to get in? The pathway that you see into it is just under the bridge, one of the bridges near the river Seine. There is a single wooden door, thick with iron bars, with two French police right in front of it with pikes.
I'm going to, I'm a noble. I'm going to say that I have come to visit family, and these are my two employees.
All right. They nod and open up the door. The place inside, dug into the earth, steps leading down with various lanterns on the side. There is one person who's kind of tasked with keeping the place well lit throughout the night. So you can kind of hear this person shuffling about in the dark and lighting up new torches as they go out. It seems, despite the lack of wind down here, that his job is continuous and very busy as lanterns go out and need to be relit throughout these catacombs.
Would we have been able to bring our own light source as well down here? Allow us to...
Yeah, you could definitely bring your own lanterns. It's definitely something I suggest. This place is almost maze-like, with several places etched into the stone where members of the higher class have petitioned to be buried underneath Paris. What are you guys looking for?
I'd like to get to the part of the catacombs that's directly under the tavern.
All right, why don't you give me, I think it would be...
Is everyone else okay with doing that first?
Yeah, totally cool with that. Doing that first.
You are definitely the one. You've got an idea here, so.
I have somewhere else
Looking to
I want to
you.
look in the catacomb after.
Yeah, I would say like maybe well-traveled with survival and traveling. Though if you have another skill you think would be more appropriate, feel free.
Yeah, no,
So-
well, that's all I got. I'll roll. I have a very small chance of getting this right.
I'm not great with well-traveled either, but I can try. I think I'm
Are
probably
we
the
able
best
to
out
aid
of us.
each other on this? And how do we do that?
Oh man, aiding each other. Oh, it's been some time.
I don't remember the
So why don't you
aiding rules
guys?
in
Yeah, me neither.
that.
Kinda
Brandon has the
skipping in
copy
my
of our
head.
book. So I want to try and help.
Aid another. Aid.
Yeah, I do not know on that one. Aid and help don't have anything, so you know what? I don't know if it's the rule, but what I would probably do is if you make it, you give them SV. If you fail by too much, you cost them SV.
Yeah, that sounds appropriate. So who wants to take the lead on it?
I am a 9. How are you guys?
I'm a 5.
I'm a 4.
So sounds like my time with soldiery.
Oh no, I'm
is,
4 well traveled. Sorry, 4.
Okay, is going to be the best that we've got. So it's up to you guys.
My
If you
chances of
wanna
aiding
aid.
you are terrible, so I don't want to give you an egg. You go for it.
How bad do you have to fail to give a negative?
I'll say anything like above a 5. We'll apply a penalty.
Yeah, with a 4, I'm not doing
Otherwise, it'll just take.
I'm not doing it either.
all right. What am I trying to succeed at here? Where am I trying to
You're
guide
based
us?
on underneath the tavern. It sounds like.
Oh, okay. I got an 8. I made it by 2 since
Woo!
8 and then 9.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Excellent. All right. So you're moving along, and you're pretty sure you're kind of following the path. You hear the river above you, at one point in time, which definitely suggests you're on the right track. And then you come to this well that appears in this circular room right below where the tavern is.
Oh, this is giving me a very bad as above, so below vibe.
I love that movie.
How can we tell how deep it
My
goes?
lady, I think that we're near that tavern here. And I'm going to go ahead and breathe that well water in. And does that smell the same way as possibly the shirt or the body? The wetness on that body smell.
It does. There's kind of a moldy ness to it, almost a high concentration of salt. But answering your question, best shown, it's kind of hard to tell the water, while kind of shallow and deep for the well, is black and murky. So it's kind of hard to see how far down this well exactly goes.
Oh, how far down is it to the water?
You can stretch and touch it if you want, so it's not too far from the ledge, and there is a bucket with like the normal rope that lets you dip it down into the water if you are thirsty.
I'm going to start searching, observing for any symbolism. I'm going to take out tools, magnet glass, or light benders, things that will adjust my my range, colored lenses, stuff like that. Basically I put on a pair of goggles and I start playing with the colored lenses.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and roll.
I'm going to be doing esotericism. I'm going to call on De Sodalacorium, and I am going to state that I'm looking symbolism, utilizing. I'm actually going to fall back on my occult literature. I'm going to do.
All right.
I failed.
All right. Cool. So as you're shifting around with your gaze, one of them, a certain perspective, a certain location where you're at as you're looking around, you notice that this place is filled with women. Just like when you saw the woman reflected in your tea,
okay.
They have this shallow, almost watery reflection about them as they all gaze at this well. And where your failure comes in is that for the first time since you've seen this, or really probably since you've started diving into the esoteric dark things of this world, something stares back out at you as one of these women, their head turns to look at you.
Okay. I take a mental health on that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Luckily, I have highest mental health of this group.
Yeah, you take 4 damage to your mental health.
Sure, I'm at 32 now. What everybody else starts with.
No, I'm well below that.
Okay, what people base start with. Okay, when I see that, I actually will try and start to talk to her after, being terrified. You guys can visibly see me shaking. And I will say in French, pardon, and try and engage her.
And everyone watching, as you watch her say this, you know that there are ripples in the water, as if it's being spoken right into it. In response, you see their mouths moving. Why don't you give me a read lips?
Sure. What is read lips under?
Stealth.
Okay, might have I have stealth, and I'm trying to find read lips. Yep, I have one. Okay, it's gonna suck. Ooh.
Hold on, you have 1 point in stealth?
No, I have 4 points in stealth.
Oh, okay.
I
You
rolled a
have
nat
one
20.
specific to read lips?
I have specific.
You got a what?
read lips. I rolled a nat 20.
Oof.
Yay!
She's talking about ice creams and clown, as far as I
She
can.
thinks it's a beautiful day right now.
Yep.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day
She's
in the
singing
neighborhood.
Mr. Rogers'
And then she
Neighborhood.
starts reaching out to grab you. Won't you be my neighbor?
Be my
Oh,
neighbor.
God.
So you take 6 mental health as you're carrying
You're below me now.
at this lips, kind of blue and black as they speak to you, and then kind of as you're shaking, you lose that perspective, which lets you see these entities, but you can definitely feel them around you.
Okay. I pull out sage and I start burning it.
All right, you guys see her start to light up sage.
Sage
The
stinks,
smoke,
by the way. Burning sage.
yeah, it's not it's not great. All right. Every now and then with this smoke, it kind of twirls around figures that you can't see, suggesting that there are things here. And as you look down the hallway, you notice that the lanterns are no longer lit, and that the only light in this area is coming from your own lantern.
Well, she's been doing this. I just wanted to investigate the local area to see if I can find anything or any sign of passage in here that I might in some way, associate with what we saw. If maggots or anything like that might have fallen off here.
All right, go ahead and give me a roll.
Okay.
Observation.
I roll a 2, so I make it by a ton.
Excellent. This place seems devoid of life. You noticed on the way here that there were bugs and all sorts of spiders, but looking around at every corner, there is not very well either cleaned or there is some substance in the air that kills all form of life.
I look for the ooze that's coming for us. Gelatinous cube.
Wrong
You guys are already in it. But as you look around, you notice that your employer, her eye seems a little off.
Well, she does have those weird ones.
Yeah.
Since this is while she's doing stuff, I just will talk to Bastion. The bugs are gone. Yeah, well as ever. There's enough, not like the rest of them.
I knew this place was evil, but I didn't think that there's any... Or, I thought this place was evil, but I didn't know there's actual merit to it. Can I do a esotericism roll to see if there's any, strange markings on the wall?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
All right. Ooh, beat it by 5.
Nice. So the wall is kind of caked in dirt and mud and such like that, with some of the moisture from the well. But as you kind of poke at it a little bit, you notice that there are black hexagonal pieces underneath the dirt. And as you continue to kind of pull back parts of the dirt, you notice that it feels like it comes out all around, almost like a dome for this place.
Could I do a stealth/observation roll to figure out how long this dirt has been here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ooh, on the dot.
Excellent. Doesn't look that long. Definitely within the last month.
So probably the same time that kid went missing or died. I'm gonna point these out to the doctor.
Okay.
The hexes all around the room.
The hex. What? Wrong character. That is what I saying. Those same. There are women all throughout. They are waterlogged, and they were trying to. I could not read their lips. They seem perhaps not responsible for what has gone.
I'm gonna shine the light as she's saying that down into the well and just look for any sign that I can see of body or remnants that might be at the bottom from somebody disposing of or murdering people here.
So when you cast your light down, the first thing you notice is that this liquid, you don't reflect in it, and nor does the light.
I'm a vampire.
Must be the only way.
I'm guilty. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
It was him all along. But it just seems to absorb light. And Bastion, as you're kind of watching him do this, you notice that the dear lady, her right eye has a bit of blood dripping down the cheek.
Doctor, your eye.
Yeah, and you feel like a dampness.
And I just start patting myself and seem very confused by what's.
Is the air really dry down here?
Mm-hmm.
So you said there's a bucket, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the bucket and try to get some of the water out of the well to get a better look at it.
Excellent. So you bring the bucket down and bring up some of this water. Like before, it doesn't really reflect anything. What do you do with the water?
I'm gonna swash it around to see if there's any thing inside the water that comes out of off the surface or anything. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to pour a little bit of it out onto the ground.
Yeah, as you swash it around, everyone kind of feels the the scent of the ocean, a slight breeze, pouring this water out. It is quickly kind of sunken into the dirt below, as if it was parched.
Oh, is there any of those runes on the ground?
No, not that you can see.
Oh, this water is definitely odd.
I have no reflection, nor does the light look back and I shine it.
Oh,
There's
can-
something strange on it.
Can I do a observation check or detect hidden for whichever one's more applicable to see if there's any tracks in here that weren't us?
Yeah, of course.
Alright. I got an 8, so I beat it by 4.
Excellent. So kind of as you're looking around and such, you don't see anything, but you do. Now that you're kind of looking around, you hear what sounds like breathe from several places in this area.
Do those correspond with like where the smoke is being disturbed in its pathing?
Yeah, in a way. Well, it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly.
I'm gonna ask the doctor where these women are standing, and I'm going to move the dirt out of the way from underneath them to see if there's anything specifically under them.
All right. So you trying to go out, I guess, being assisted by the lady. But I think the most pressing issue is that it just seems to be more blood pooling from below her eye, dripping onto the ground, and then being consumed by the dirt itself.
Oh.
Perhaps, my lady, we should step away. Your eye does not seem to be getting any better. I worry it is the call of the graves on this plight.
Yeah, and I seem like just really frazzled, unable, really, lead the way, Patrick. I take my kerchief out and I'm dabbing.
So yeah, I can guide us out by all means.
Excellent. Go ahead and make that roll.
Okay.
This is perfect.
Are there
It's
other
like
ways up
thunderstorm
other
outside.
than the way that we came up, by the way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's several ways out of here.
I would be trying to lead us back to the closest that might be near where we were. But I have a failure by 5.
Excellent. So as you guys are traveling down these paths, the tunnels are not lit in any way, so you're having to rely more and more on your own lantern.
It keeps going out, apparently.
Yeah.
And I will at this point mention it as we're starting. I dealt with this back at the where we found the body. That lanterns outside of sight would go out. The light stop even though there was still fuel for it. Perhaps this is, and I turn towards them. The light, my grizzled, beaten up face and such, is kind of shining eerily, and the lantern catches my eyes in a weird way. This is something to do with this Honda.
I want to try something. When we get sufficiently far enough away from the well, I want to stop everyone and then ask if we can turn out the lights for a few seconds to see if anything happens.
Okay, then I will turn the lantern off and.
Did my bleeding stop?
No.
Am I taking hit point damage at this point?
No, it's not enough to kind of bother your health. Just kind of uncomfort in your eye. So you guys,
I have a match
off?
handy and make certain I know where the wall is. But yes.
Yeah, I put my back up against a wall before the
and
I
the
put
light
my
goes
goggles
out.
back.
Pitch black. You can almost feel like the hairs on the back. Everything is just on edge as you are listening, and you hear the slight crashing of the ocean against the beach. Almost the sounds of a lighthouse. The long, almost deep horn in the deep. And milady, something reaches out and holds both of your hands.
Scream.
Oh, what's the matter, my lady? I was trying to reassure you.
At that point, I unsheath my rapier and out of defense.
And she screams.
Yeah.
Was that you holding my hands, Brandon?
I sent no notes for that.
Okay. Yeah, then I would definitely scream if I feel that. At this point, I'm kind of, a little rattled.
What do you guys do? Hearing the scream echoing.
Well, one person pulled his rapier.
I will go ahead and light a match to get the lantern going again.
Perfect. You light the match, and where your lady is, there is nothing there.
Are
Corridor.
you all right, light.
It took my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alice, you're not there.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
right.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just Bastion and Cedric's hallway.
I look around quickly and then start calling out, "My lady, Temperance, where are you?" And I start looking at the ground for where she might have gone. Any sign?
Excellent.
Yeah, me
Looking
too.
around, Cedric and Bastion, you notice that those same kind of wet footprints leading down further into the catacombs. Temperance, you are back.
In the well room.
Yes.
Start scream. I let out another shriek, and then I call out for Fadric. Fadric, can you hear me?
And within this room, it's no longer empty, but you see this room is filled with children. Much like the one you saw before, they are decomposing in various states. All of them looking at the well, and hanging kind of on each of your hands, holding you tight, is a child to your left and to your right.
I'm screaming for them. Hopefully they hear me. I don't want to destroy our viewers' ears, so I'm not gonna roleplay that. But screaming for Thadric. Help me! Help me!
All right, Thadric and Bastion, why don't you guys give me another well-traveled roll to try to find, as you're kind of hearing these echoes throughout the corridor, these screams.
I'm gonna let Thadric roll that because I have no hope in hell.
I make it by 4.
Excellent. All right, so we're gonna say you will get there in about 3 minutes.
Oh dear! 3 minutes for them
I
to
will-
throw me in the well and kill me.
You're fine. Temperance.
I
are
have
you
3
doing?
minutes to survive. Got it.
They're all looking at the well as you hear like the sloshing of water coming from within it, as if something was moving within the well.
Does the well have the bucket apparatus?
It does.
Okay, I'm going to start rolling up the bucket. Oh,
Excellent.
well, will they release my arm if I go for the well?
Yeah, they'll grab onto other things, clinging to the side of your dress, kind of leaving scrapes of flesh upon it. Maggots start to crawl up your leg as you move.
Okay, I will start pulling up the well. Party.
Help! As you pull this up, it's heavier than it was before, and as you pull it up, you notice peering at you from this bucket is this woman whose face is pale, eyes black, hair black. As she looks, there's a slight chanting from the little boys, "Mother, mother, mother." Mother.
Okay, I will try and communicate. If this is the same woman that I saw before.
It feels like it, yeah.
Are you able to stand?
There's a nod, and you notice a very lengthy, pale arm come from the bucket, reaching up towards the ceiling. And this arm is about the length of you, 5 feet long, stretching out as its talons kind of grip the dirt, start pulling itself up out of this bucket, which could not contain a creature such like this, but nonetheless,
Are you trapped?
there's a shaking of the head as another arm reaches out, grabbing on ceiling.
What is?
As its head comes out of the water, you know that pretty much underneath its nose is just rotten flesh. Tongue kind of elongates out of the hole where its throat is, kind of brushing against its naked, emaciated frame. Bits of what look like scarabs, black little bugs, crawl about her naked frame, coming in and out of these holes and orifices of her body as she stretches and looms over you. Her eyes pitch black, as she whispers something that can barely be heard. Her breath against your left cheek, the tongue almost caressing your chin, as the creature says, "Revolution." And it's about this time that you two enter.
Do they see all this?
Yes. Cedric, your lady is being licked by some horrific entity surrounded by children. Everyone take 6 mental damage as this insanity of this moment starts to weigh heavily upon your mind.
What the fudge?
We did mention this is Cthulhu-esque, right? We did
Oh,
advertise that.
I know, but
Yeah.
So what do you guys do?
I'm gonna immediately run into the room and cut the string.
I think the bucket's on the ground, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
was it
It's
still?
it's on the ground now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
it was like in the well.
Nope, I was dumb enough to pull it all the way out because I was enthralled.
All right,
well,
let me know what you're doing.
I jumped behind Thadric, or tried to.
Unfortunately, there are about 12 children between you and Thadric.
Okay, I run for Thadric, trying to push through the crowd of maggot-infested children.
I have no problem punching children.
All right. So, Temperance, why don't you give me, I think parkour or evade would be a good one for this, to try to get around all the little children.
Sure.
Parkour.
Another one of her specialties.
Avoidance it is. Oh, I rolled
Yeah, I
a nat
feel like-
1. I made it by 4. I rolled
Excellent.
a nat 1.
Oh,
I
man.
got
Yeah,
through.
so you...
Apparently I'm that scared.
Yeah, you're like, I am out of this as you run from this creature, this naked woman whose arms are way too long for any human entity you've ever seen before, as it howls towards you, but you're able to get right next to Thidric.
Great, hide behind Patrick.
Minor point of order, you rolled a 1, but avoidance would not be appropriate. He was
Okay.
asking for agility stuff, that's a stealth. You rolled a 1, so that's a success.
Oh, yeah,
by
I
all
didn't see,
means.
Oh,
But
yeah.
just
well,
so that way
he said stealth,
viewers
so-
and you
Sure.
are
Okay.
aware that, he wanted stuff under the body control discipline, not stuff under stealth.
Okay, well, I rolled a natural 1,
Yeah.
so one
Yeah.
way or another I made it. Oh! Just barely. I was
Parkour.
desperate.
I am going to step in front of her by all means. I've got my gun out, and I'm not aiming it yet, but it is out and ready to go if needed. And I just look around and I go, "What is it that you all want?"
And with that, we roll initiative.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. How do we do that again?
It is 1
Open roll D10.
Open roll D.
Yeah.
So if you roll a 10, roll again.
Mhm.
And do we add our dex or anything onto it?
I don't believe so.
No, I think it's just a
straight open roll.
open roll.
Okay.
No,
I'm a 5.
I'm a 2.
Me too.
I need to practice the accent.
Initiative, page 13.
There we go.
I'm hitting
Oh,
that
and
accent.
take your initiative modifiers for anything that you're thinking about using.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Check your weapons.
yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
will
which-
give you a penalty. And basically what you guys see is that the swarm of children are moving towards Temperance.
Oh, great. They're okay.
Are you my mommy?
Mommy!
We need Doctor Who to show up. But I think I'm hitting that accent not as well as I'd like. So, start us off on the init.
Brandon's is first.
I get no response from them?
No.
Okay. I'm going to pop a kid in the skull.
All right, go ahead.
Well, ain't too early to teach them that they should answer when elders talk to them. Blam! So I am going to sink all of it into this range shot because I'm like, oh my god, a bunch of undead kids coming at us. So 16, and I make it on the dot. Woo!
Excellent. The damage?
No dodge check or anything?
No.
Okay.
These things don't really.
And I have 4 on damage.
All right, excellent. So I'm saying with this damage, it's hitting multiple of these creatures. So you see your shot go out, and you see like 4 heads explode as your bullet kind of shoots right through them, splattering against the wall, which is comforting until you see like these almost tendril-like worms wiggling out of where the neck is.
I
Spawn
give
more.
my gun a kiss and then shove it into my coat.
The spawn
Put 'em-
pool.
Put him back. Put him back.
Who is next? Well, actually, I'm.
You're next.
All my people are last. So
Okay.
actually, it's one of you guys.
Great. That's Nate. Go, Nate.
Would it be you because you have better quality stuff?
Yeah, I've
It's
got.
probably you because
no, it's broken by fighting.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
fighting is 2.
you're the better fighter.
You're not. Yeah, my fighting is 2. I was just about to point out going first.
Okay. Can I get close enough to the big thing in the middle and start attacking that?
You can if you can make a evade roll to get over there. Evade or parkour.
Can I do both?
Can't do both.
Okay. I got rolling. I got an 11, so I beat it by 1.
All right. And understand you are putting yourself in a very bad position as you kind of jump and roll forward, getting right in front of this horrific woman with about 8 children still around. But that is your action for just because of the distance that you have to go through.
What is your move speed, Nate?
Oh yeah, that's fair.
How do I calculate that?
Did I not have it done on your sheet? Let me bring it up real quick. So we
bloody-
start off with a base of 10, and then we are modified by a few things, one of which I think is dex. Almost there. Persistence, max movement. So your dexterity trait, what's that?
+1.
+1, so you're at an 11. Every level of body control under the agility skill.
2.
So 2, so that's 13 meters. So yeah, you've got a 13-meter movement. I'm at 15, and Alice, I'm certain, is very slow in comparison.
Okay, with 13 movement, you could definitely still do something. Yeah, let's see. Combat points, so 6 per meter to overcome and to move. So it'll pretty much take 2 combat points to get where you want to go.
All right, and I have 4 because of my rapier.
Your rapier puts a cap on the amount of attack actions you can do per turn. But it
So
should,
yes,
you
could take 4 attacks or reactions, basically, but you have to break that pool up among them.
Okay.
Yeah, you should have a pool of combat points, though.
Yeah, he was like 28, 6, and 4, I think.
Oh, 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Someone came up to my door and asked me for something.
It's cool.
So I will spend. I have to get back to my character sheet. I will spend 10 of my pool to take an attack at it.
All right.
Ooh, roll a 3.
After you subtracted the it's 6 combat points per meter during movement if you're trying to avoid things.
Oh, so I spent the points to do the evade and stuff, and then I have to roll.
Cool.
So yeah, I rolled a 3. I beat my combat check by 7. Let me see how much damage a rapier does, if it does anything.
I think, light weapons were 1d10?
1d10 open and roll on a 10. Weapons in general will do a d10 of damage. The heavier it is, the sooner that your die will explode. So like a 2-hander explodes on an eyeball.
Yeah.
Alice, you're crunching at us.
Alright, so...
Actually, it's coming through.
Oh, very loudly.
Yeah.
We're like gravel in your mouth right now.
It's the crunching of bones.
Yeah.
So am I good to roll a d10?
Yeah.
Okay. I rolled a 5.
All right. So it looks like, unfortunately, as you kind of cut it, your rapier just kind of smacks into it, but no blood is drawn. It doesn't look like it did anything to it, despite slashing at it. It doesn't go far enough into it as this woman kind of looks at you, smiles.
Boy.
So Temperance, I believe it's your turn.
Yeah, about that. I kind of just pull out my flintlock and I'm aiming it at things and trying to keep them at bay. I'm not gonna shoot right now because
I'm using my dodge to get out of that.
I'm not shooting.
I'm more scared of her with a gun than I am of what's ahead of me right now.
I'm saving my fighting for dodging. That's all. I'm done.
Excellent, and that is what you will need. But yeah,
we could just consider you don't get natural 20s the whole time. We're okay with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So first on Bep, are you going to dodge? This thing kind of looks down at you as its gaping hole where its neck is starts to elongate to about your height as it moves to do something to you.
The dodges are declared after the hits from the reading that I did.
Yeah, I rolled
Cool.
and I hit.
Oh, okay. I will spend the last of my points to have a 6 chance to dodge.
I believe in you.
Oh, I got a 6!
Nice.
All right. So you roll backward as this gaping neck smacks against itself. You hear the squishing of blood as a pool of black ooze rolls out from the maw, kind of surrounding you. You see the children moving forward towards Temperance, each one of their little hands reaching out towards her. Mommy, as they say. And we'll see what they get.
I am in front of her.
We'll see. All right, so I succeed.
As they come at me, at this point, I'm going to say, then listen to your mother and back off.
Kablam!
So since Thedric is in front, you are getting this attack. They seem to kind of like crawl on top of each other as they move to crawl on top of you. It seems they're bringing the ones with their heads off, the little tentacles, forward towards your face.
Yeah. I put everything into dodge, which is not that impressive. 20% chance, and failed by 3.
All right. So you take, not too bad. You take 5 damage as several of these tendrils lash out from these neck and grab onto various parts of your body, and you can see like some of the blood leaking out of you as they do. All right, so we are back to the top again.
Are we re-rolling? I believe it's a re-roll every round. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo!
Got an 8.
Woohoo!
16.
26.
Oh, snap.
Phew, and I was like, oh, I open rolled once. And Brandon's like, psh, once. So
Do
Brandon
I
goes
go
first.
Yeah, you go first.
He could have rolled better.
I did not, sadly. I only rolled a 6.
Alright, I am going to go ahead and lash out with... I'm going to lash out with a 10. This is not my forte. I generally like killing people before they're aware of... So lash out with a 10 and save some of this to defend myself. And I get a 9.
Woo! All right, roll damage. They're not dodging.
Okay. 9 damage as I am cutting at them with my dirt. One higher and I would have open rolled again.
Yeah. So, like, you can't believe it as Thedric is just ripping these kids apart. So there were about 8 left. But by the time Thedric is done kind of like slashing about, all of them lay in pieces before you two, with these various tentacles kind of reaching out of the different where they were cut, but they are still.
Thedric is like, as he's hacking them apart, he's all of a sudden in tears and saying things that you guys aren't quite certain what the heck he's talking about, but he's, talking about the bodies that he saw in, places and such, as he's just pounding it out and like blaming these children for the deaths of some of the people that he was with.
All right, who is next? I'm at a 6.
I'm at a 16.
You're
At this
next.
point, I am going to take the explosive gunpowder in my gun and that I keep for my gun rather, and I'm going to utilize my alchemy, and I'm going to start trying to make basically a bomb to cave them.
All right, go ahead and roll alchemy.
Sure, and I'm going to call out, retreat. Let us bury them where they die or lie or stand.
Lady soldiers do not get the burial they deserve. As I'm literally just ripping these kids apart and such.
You see like this head going like, "Mommy."
I made it by 10.
Ooh, nice. Trying to think how many combat points that would be to make something like this. Agree. I'll say like 15. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
I don't
I get a
think
15
there's really
on
any
this. Home. Let us get out of here.
You do realize that Bastion is still engaged with tentacle monster from a bucket, right?
Yep. And so I'm calling for us to retreat, and I'm getting ready to out as soon as we get out of the room.
Excellent. So I believe it's your turn, Bastion.
Yeah. I'm going to roll to an agility / evade roll to
Mhm.
kind of like somersault back out of the way to get out of there. And I failed by 2.
Yay! All right, so this is an attack of opportunity. Ooh, nice. All right, I successfully hit. I believe you can still dodge it though.
Yeah, I might as well spend the 2 points in evade. Right? That's what I can
So,
spend.
well, so you have, looking at your character sheet, you have 2 points in evade, which gives you a 4-point avoidance. You also have 3 points in combat reaction, so that gives you another 6 points. Those 10 points can only be used on reaction. Now, if you can use that battle expertise, the 3 points you get from there, the 10 points you get from your fighting. So that's another 13 points that you can use on reactions. You can also use the 9 points that you're getting for a weapon, but at that point you couldn't use the 4 from evade as well, because the weapon would at that point be a parry, and it would be one of your weapon's actions.
Okay, so I will spend enough to make it. So wait, I get double from battle experience and combat reactions because you said
anything. So the bolds are the skills themselves. So that's like fighting and agility. Those are 1 for 1. The ones that have a D in parentheses at the end, those are also 1 for 1, the disciplines. But the specialties which come below those you'll get 2 points for every point you've spent for that pool. So that's how I got the 28 for combat action, 6 for all your combat reactions, and 4 specifically for evade, for dodging.
Okay. I will dump a lot of points into this and make it so I can only fail on a 20.
All right.
Oh, I got a 19.
Yeah, you feel like the earth next to you explodes as one of her hands slams down where you were. What else are you doing? Is that it for you?
That is.
Get out of there!
Am I still able to move, or do I have to redo a check?
You don't have. You're out of this creature's kind of attack zone. But every meter is 6 combat points.
Okay. Let me see how many. I have at least enough to go 2 meters.
Excellent. All right, so you're running down. So you're past Theodric and the Temperance.
I'm gonna stop at them. I'm not gonna go past them yet.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so it's only about 1 meter to get to them. So yeah, it is my slow thing's turn. This thing lurches forward, not wanting its little friend to get away. So this is against you, Bastion, which I successfully attack. What are you doing?
I'll spend 2 points in evade to have a 20% chance. I got a 3, thank God.
Excellent. Yeah, it moves forward, and you see its mouth kind of slam right next to where your leg was, kind of dragging in several pieces of the dirt. All right. And some of the kids have kind of gotten up, bits of their body moving forward. As they try to reach out towards Theodric and Temperance. But unfortunately, their tentacles don't reach quite that far as they kind of miss the mark. So they miss. So reroll for initiative.
And yeah, it's 2 points per meter.
2 points. I saw for what's it? Okay, objects is 6 points per meter when you're moving over things. Yeah, that's fair.
Are the children considered objects?
Somewhat, yeah.
I am
They're
objectifying them currently.
Yeah.
Wait,
they're like tables you have to get over.
What happens if I roll a 0 on initiative?
You roll again and add the numbers together.
Oh, okay.
That's how I got up to 26 last round after I took my initiative modifier off.
Yeah, I'm at a 9.
I got a 12.
Bastion.
I'm at a 1.
Oh,
I
dear.
am caught up with hacking these kitties to bits.
And what'd you
I'm at a
get?
7.
All right, Bastion. It is your turn.
I will stand side by side Theodric and get a defensive stance to attempt to dodge and evade the attacks.
Excellent. All right, it's my turn. So the large creature is going to go after its morsel. It successfully attacks, so go ahead and try to dodge.
I will spend my fighting points Yeah, I'll make it so 16 is what I have to roll. Beat it by 5.
All right, excellent. You see part of the wall kind of cave in, narrowing the path that you guys are on as it lurches forward again in anger. You could see it salivating before you, bits of its saliva black and thick as it falls on the ground. And now for the kitties, as we're calling them.
The little kiddos, the cute little ones. You know, you just want to pick them up and let them hug you.
That's
which they're trying to do.
Right.
Thadric, they successfully attacked as their tentacles move forward. What are you doing?
I'll go for a flat 10 here.
All right.
6 to my offensive, basically, and I fail by 8.
And I continue to call for us to move back.
Yes, I have not gotten an action.
I know you haven't. You're on a 1. You're below.
All right, so you successfully dodged.
No, I failed by 8.
Oh, oh no,
This is
no!
gonna hurt.
Why, Thadric? All right. You take 16 damage.
Oh my god!
Oh!
As the tendrils lurch forward and they just go through parts of your body, lapping up the blood as they do. So you have these holes in your flesh. And when they rip out, you see maggots start to crawl out from your wounds. As you bleed on the floor. How you doing,
Hey guys!
bud?
I leveled twice. I'm in wound level 3 now.
And that's how
Have
you
you guys
gain.
leveled yet?
That's how you gain levels in LexOccultum.
Brandon better get like 200 XP after this. Whew.
I know, right?
Brandon better get healing after this, is more what I'm thinking.
Yeah, right.
So everyone, you guys each take 5 mental damage as you see like your bastion of strength.
I'm gonna level again!
Yes.
Oh wait, I'm the Bastion.
No, but there's bastion and then there's a bastion of strength, which is Thadric. Yeah.
So I'm down
but that's my turn.
I'm down to 15 sanity, so I believe that I've hit down 2 categories of that. Whew.
The
Look at
first
everyone's
category is 12 points, but your psych was higher, or your
yeah.
your int is
My
higher.
int was higher.
So you have 16 points with that plus 4 int.
Right.
In
So
that
yes,
first.
I am in the second category. Correct. Cool. I'm correct. I'm screwed. 2
You're
categories down.
fine.
For
I mean, it's the end of my turn.
Okay.
For
So
default
temperance.
mental health, is it 12 to get put into the next category?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm 1 shy then.
So
Don't be shy about being shy, man.
Take it.
So I believe I'm next on 7 because Nate's below me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I move back and I'm trying to drag Thadric out with me, with one hand, with my bomb in the other, and I'm just going to basically hold my combat action until I see Bastion get out, and as soon as he gets out, I'm going to lob that thing.
All right, sounds good to me. So we are moving down. Let's see, Thadric.
To keep this chain of grappling going on, I will go ahead and grab Bastion and let's get out of here.
Reverse conga line.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Reverse
He gets like,
conga
oh
line.
God.
Okay, so as soon as he yanks him out, I toss that bomb.
Go ahead
2!
and make a range attack. Oh, nice.
You know, normally I'm used to being like, oh my god, 2 on something like that, but it's like, yay.
Yay!
I got another 2!
All right, so I don't think we have an exact damage for this,
Nope.
but I feel like in these confined areas, we will do a D10 exploding on an 8, so kind of like a heavy weapon.
Okie dokie. Pick a good die here because I want some exploding dice. Open roll. Ooh, that is a 10 actually.
Ooh.
And a 9. Was a 9 an open? Was a 9 the exploding as well? I didn't catch
Yeah,
what your
8
exploding.
or above.
8 or up. Okay, so 8. It's a 9 and a 10 so far.
You might have
another
made this
10.
a little too powerful.
Ooh, another 10. 29 so far.
And this is what two-handed weapons are like to everybody paying attention. right now.
32 total. I stopped.
All
exploding.
right. Okay, so we are kind of out of combat of sorts, but because I'm gonna say for Temperance, this explosion is definitely probably larger and more impactful than you first thought it would be.
Boom, 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 yay.
So why don't everyone give me an evade test
dear.
as you guys see the thing roll out and.
I'm a 13 on this one.
I'm
failed.
a 14.
So, and remember, the same thing applies, is that body control, which we'll add to it, will add only, you'll take your agility, add whatever your body control is, and then add double the evade.
Yeah.
And that's the SV.
I failed.
I got it.
I failed.
I beat it by 1.
So the only person who failed was
the bomber.
The bomb thrower. She it wasn't all sealed up, so she drops some at her feet and it goes off.
Yep. I didn't seal it
right.
properly. Boom, 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 yay.
Yeah, so I rolled my own damage just because you guys are a greater distance from the epicenter of the bomb.
Sure.
So Temperance, you take 19 damage. The other two, because you guys are able to kind of leap out of the immediate explosion, you each take 5 damage.
But we did it like Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, and so when we get up, I'm going to say, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, as you're like patting yourself down, dust all over your hair.
Alright, how much damage was that?
You guys took
5 for...
I took 19.
For Bastion and Patrick.
Ouch. I scraped my
the
knee.
Yeah, the whole place is filled with dust and rock, and you're coughing. But before you, or behind you, really, the horrors at least are no longer there, buried between underneath this rubble and dirt.
And I'd just like to point out, at least the 19 damage I did to myself burned the maggots off my body.
Yeah. I mean, you guys do not have a maggot problem anymore.
No problem anymore. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like seriously limping and all as we're moving.
I pull myself off the dirt because my own blow knocked me on my butt, and I pull myself up, and I'm like basically, holding on to Thadric, and then when I see that Thadric's limping, I start putting a hand on the wall as I try and move myself out of here, because I think I gave myself but I really don't think staying there would have been a good idea.
God, no.
I did good.
So as you guys are heading out, why don't you give me an observation?
Observation.
How many points do I get for that?
Made it by 7.
I made it by 7 also, actually.
I'm trying to find where observation is. Oh, there it is. I failed. I did my one shot for this. I'm gonna start failing now.
Yeah, maybe this, because as you guys are moving out, Thadric and Bastion, as you are going down the hallways, you notice that there are several rooms to your left and to your right, and each one, as you walk by, has a well inside of it. That same creeping dread is filled within you.
Did we have that when we walked in, that all these rooms were the wells, or are we just walking in the same section of hallway past the same well over and over?
It's kind of hard to tell. Everything is just kind of maze-like, but you pass at least 20 of them before you get to the exit. The light from the sun slowly kind of coming up over the horizon. Who's to say how long you've been down here? But one thing is for certain, as you kind of wipe the blood and dust from your outfits, and the kind of faint whisper of Ami escapes from the tunnel, that this is no way close over. That's where we'll end it.
Nuking Paris.
So before we wrap up, as we fade to black, do a little feedback. So let's start with...
Well, let's check in with our characters first, since we're kind of ending on that cliffhanger. Why don't you start, Alice?
Yeah, what are you thinking about? What's going through your mind?
My character's in bad shape mentally and physically. I think that was obvious. She is panicked. She's freaked out. She's dealt with a little what goes bump in the night and recovered in the past, but definitely feeling more PTSD out of this. She's going to be checking her body and clothes for maggots and such for the next month but she still wants to figure out what's going on, and so she's, you know, trying to swallow that fear and trying to continue to investigate, and to probably to her detriment. Brandon, what about you?
I'm really like seeing myself kind of lose it, that I've been living kind of like I gave up on life. I realized how horrible the world was. I've left men during my time in the military, seen them die in front of me or left them to die. And so I've, you know, basically been reveling in my own self-hatred for a long time. It was, you know, Temperance that she was around asking questions, and, you know, I saw within her youth and hope, and I didn't want her to be in that same kind of situation. And so I've kind of been trying to guard her from it. And that's one reason I work with her. But down there, it was, you know, very visceral that some of the things that I did, that's probably not the first time that Thadric has been killing children. Before it was in name of, you know, king and country, for whatever reason. This time it was for survival. But the horrors that did, as well as remembering those that were dead, and it would all just kind of came out in this very visceral moment for him, as he was in there, you know, just wading in with a short dirk, just chopping through infants' bellies and such, and maggots coming out and then hacking those. So he was trying to make kibbles and bits and bits and bits. And it's, you know, kind of with him as he's, I mean, I am seriously messed up. I have 6 wounds left before I'm dead. If we had taken one more, I'd have leveled again to level 4 wounds. So
leveling.
Yeah, I am messed up, and I'm in level 2 on my mental health right now, which I think I'm actually one of the people who's doing better out of all of us.
I'm at 15 wounds, 19. Or sorry, 15 sanity, 19.
Yeah, Temperance could go back inside.
No.
Yeah, go, make some more bombs.
You got this, Temperance.
So what about you, Nate?
Upon leaving the catacombs and feeling the caress of the warm sun, Bastion is filled with a sense of hope that he now knows where to go to try and find his parents. He learned of the deeper darkness that is underneath this world and the evils that are responsible for stuff like this.
I think that's actually a really cool story, is that, you know, Bastion is the child, obviously a grown child, but still a child that's looking for his parents, and that here you have these kids that, you know, are there looking for their parents, and that's a pretty cool duality.
Yes.
And maybe Temperance could be like your parent, filling in, just like the kids wanted.
That's why I didn't attack any of the children.
Because you identified with the children, poor children. Okay. So let's go in reverse order on feedback. So Mitch, we're gonna start with didn't do the character.
Feedback. What do you want to know?
You know,
stuff that you think about that.
Yes. About
oh my gosh. So LexOccultum has always been one of my favorites. I enjoy the Cthulhu dark-esque of the 18th century, and kind of the battle between the old world and the new world, magic and science. I love the combat system. After I kind of watched your guys' video, is infinitely cooler than when I first approached it. I like the variability of it and the almost like bidding points for like if you want to how good you want to dodge this time, and there's a lot of nuance in kind of how you approach combat, which is a lot of fun, especially if you want to play a combat character. I also enjoy kind of the different skills and the way, like, I love rolling under in general, just because I tend to roll low in my other games. But yeah, I love the setting, the rule system. The art is amazing. Some of the monster aspects was taken from the new book, the new monster book, which I have a PDF of. And I'm just so excited. I can't wait to get it in hardcover. Amazing. Yeah.
Quick note about what Mitch mentioned about watching game. He was mentioning the Trude Von Chronicles actual did with Thorstein Marr, which I will leave. And thank you very much for your feedback. And let's go to Nate about your feedback on this.
I haven't really played a lot of the like the Cthulhu-esque systems, and with this environment, I've really come to like it. I do like the system of rolling lower than, rolling low and not rolling high. It gives it like a fresh new perspective on tabletop games.
As for me, I have some experience from a while ago for Truthvon Chronicles. I was a little though because I didn't play much of it. I think that the system translated well between the systems, and the changes I think translated very well to fit the Truthvon setting in that case, and to fit LexOccultum, and that worked very. I definitely enjoy the setting, despite the fact that horror is not my main genre, not my go-to genre, but I definitely think that the 1800s, there's a lot to play with, and you don't have to necessarily go that full Cthulhu if you don't want to. For people who, you know, it's just that little bit of edge and a little bit of dark stuff, you know, Jack the Ripper, or there's so many other stories. You can do cults, you can do the character sheet as well as the system, and the setting is set up for you to really explore that 1800s as a whole, and all the different possibilities of New World meeting the Old World. So superstition and supernatural meeting the world of science, where that. So I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed this group as well. So thank you very much for GMing, Mick. Over to you, Brandon.
You know, when you read the system for Truthvon or for this, you're sitting there and you're like, I think I get it. I think that I'll figure this out, but I think it's going to take group time. And luckily, we played with Thorstein the first time for Truthvon, and he gave us the piece of advice: just for combat, set up some default pools that you're going to do. So if you know, I played a combat character last time, and so I had something like Nate has here that, you know, a lot of points to move around. And so I could get 2 good combat actions and a reaction. And so I set that up is, do I want 2 good, or do I want a guaranteed hit, a guaranteed dodge type stuff? And that speeds it up so much, and it makes it really nice as you're evaluating. Pathfinder, a lot of people don't like that if I do more than a 5-foot step, I can't get a full attack action. And this comes at that same problem from a different angle, where you're burning out part of your combat effectiveness for movement, but it's at a fairly easy rate. So you can say, well, I will move this far, and then I'll still get my attacks off. I really like that. The story I thought was great. It was really evocative of the stuff that they have in here, that it's a game where we're normal people effectively in a world that has that hint of horror going on. And so how far you want to lean into that hint of horror, you can just deal with, you know, the nobility that is kind of using everybody below them, and the corruption that's there as a bad guy, or you can start getting into that, you know, more horrific aspect of it. And it's got a lot of legs for things like that. So I had a great time, Mitch. Thanks for running. I enjoy the system, and I'd happily play it again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree, and Thorstein did a great job of running us through Truthvon, so that made the system a lot easier to comprehend and a lot more accessible. Because back in Truthvon, my character had 3 default settings of, you know, if I was full out attack, full attack defense balanced, or if I was basically full defensing. I had those 3 defaults set up to know where my numbers were going to be based on the combat, and that really, really helped. So, well, thank you all for watching then.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey Blades! Thank you so much for watching another Babies with Knives video. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and come join the conversation in our Discord server.
If you want to keep content like this coming, come check out our Patreon and consider subscribing. All links for this is provided in the description below. And remember, come back next time to get honed!